Hello, 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 you gorgeous, gorgeous human beings. It is me, your host, Susie Mother Truckin' Ashworth, and you are listening to the Infinite Receiving Podcast. And it has been a little minute since I have been in your earbuds, and I am so excited and so honored and feel so privileged to be coming back at you with a really incredible woman who touched my life in ways that she is not aware of years and years and years before we met with
Really?
yeah, with the words that you bestowed on this fortunate planet
Aw.
in your first Sunday Times, or is it New York Times bestseller, and
Mhm.
with Pussy. And you are quite remarkable. And I know what's really interesting about you is that you know that you are remarkable,
I am.
and your light you refuse to hide. It's just wherever you place your face, the light is just shining from you and on whoever it is that you are gracing with your presence. And I'm really grateful. You're so special to me to be able to call you a friend and a confidant
And a
and
roommate. Don't forget roommate.
and a roomie. So welcome to the podcast, Regina Thomashauer, and let's fucking chat. So, how are you
Okay.
doing?
Listen, I'm having such a great time. I am on the, like, just cresting the wave of my brand new book coming out. And I just feel like, oh, whoa, this is so much fun. I haven't really dug in this way with the public facing part of me, and I'm just having a blast.
Oh, so good. Can we go back just a little? Can you tell
Yeah,
people
anywhere. I'll follow you anywhere, Susie Ashworth.
who you are and what you are most famous for?
Oh, what am I famous for? I would
Yeah.
say it's my I'm not famous at all, but Mama Gena, on the other hand, she is fucking world renowned. I about almost 30 years ago started the School of Womanly Arts in my living room in New York City in a brownstone, and have since scaled that from a handful of women in my living room to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of women in my live rooms, and literally hundreds of thousands or more people have been impacted by my books, because this is now my fifth book, and
Mm.
I've been teaching live classes. I think I counted this past year because my publisher was like, how many people do you think have been through your school in some form or another? And I think I got to 50,000 people. I was
Wow.
like, whoa, that's a lot of people. So Mama Gina cuts a wide swath as she walks through the world, but I'm just her gatekeeper.
Okay, so what's the difference between Regina and Mama Gina?
Well, Regina is the one that thought up this whole cocktail, but Regina is introverted
Mhm.
and shy. And so being public facing is not as easy for Regina as it is for Mama Gina. Mama Gina loves the spotlight. She loves to, like, flash her boa and throw her stilettos on and take over. But Regina's just like happy in some hiking boots and a sweatshirt.
It's so funny that you call yourself an introvert because I would never have given you that label actually. And maybe that's because we often misunderstand what introvert and extrovert means. And I think of an introvert person not being so comfortable with people and yeah, actually, introvert just means you like to recharge by yourself, right?
Well, it's also like, let's say, writing this book happened for 5 years from
Mm.
about 4 o'clock in the morning till 8 in the morning by candlelight. So
Right.
it's, that fuels that part of me.
Yeah.
And then once that part is fueled, then I can go do more loud things.
So this book is called On Our Knees. And even that was interesting to me because, well, and the tagline, loving life even when you hate what's happening on
Yeah,
our knees.
yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that you chose our instead of your. And it really put you in it with us. And I'm curious what was going on in your life 5 years ago that inspired this work of art.
Well, I think 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was living probably the out picturing of every single success story that could ever be invented. I'd started my school with a handful of women. I wanted to change the world. I wanted to turn on the world. And so I did with all of my books. Pussy, a Reclamation. My last book was a New York Times bestseller. It was a huge accomplishment to get a book called Pussy on the New York Times list. I
Yeah.
was teaching rooms of thousands and thousands and thousands of uh, women. I was making millions of dollars. I was literally at the top of my game. And uh, you know how the world, that saying, go big or go home.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone big. And now it was time for me to go home. And
Oh.
I'm a goddess worshiper, basically. Like, I worship the goddess. I'm of that lineage. And in this book, actually, I tell the story of 10 goddesses because I think the stories of goddesses liberate women, because once we know those archetypes, we can give
Mm.
permission to sides of ourselves that, you know, stories of Jesus and Moses and Abraham and Muhammad and Buddha and all those guys don't really can't really connect with those stories as potently as we can of she who bled and led and so forth. So, what led to me writing this book is uh, a story about a goddess, really, which is there's an old Sumerian story about a goddess named Inanna, many, many thousands of years ago. And she has everything. She's the queen of heaven and earth, and she's dressed in her crown and her jewels and her breastplate and the whole architecture of power. And one day, for no reason anyone can explain, she decides she has to go down to the underworld,
Hmm.
down to her sister, Ereshkigal, and down to the one place that her dominion doesn't reach. Now, you'll notice I'm using the word underworld as I
Hmm.
describe this storyline of Inanna, which is very different than the masculine version of down there, which is hell.
Yeah.
And hell is a place that we go when we're being punished for being bad or naughty or interactable. And you don't ever want to go to hell. If you've been to hell, you want to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
It's just like a place where naughty people go. And that's not of the feminine tradition at all. So to get down there, Inanna has to pass through 7 gates. And at each one, the gatekeeper stops her and gets her to remove first her crown, and then her breastplate, and then her jewels and her robe, and one layer at a time, everything that makes her recognizable as she,
Mm.
who's built herself to be, comes off. And by the seventh gate, she arrives naked, not undressed. She's naked. There is
Mm.
nothing left to perform with. And so for me in 2019, I gave up my stage. I gave up the School of Womanly Arts Mastery program the way Inanna gave up her crown. Nobody took it from me. I walked towards the stripping on my own. So that's what I wanted to write about in this book, are those moments where a woman chooses her descent. And sometimes it happens, it seems like it happens in an exterior way. Like it could be the death of a beloved. It can happen at the graveside. It can happen when the hospital monitor flatlines. It can happen when your business just implodes, or you get fired, or your lover breaks up with you, or your child's in trouble in a way that you can't reach them. There's many ways that we are brought to our knees. In addition to, sometimes we're felled by the beauty of Mother Nature when you see a sunset that undresses the sky, or the Grand Canyon or something, or Stonehenge. Um, and also, then there's the sensual surrender that brings us to our knees. Uh, so I wanted to talk about those moments when the only way we can transform into the women we were meant to be is by moving into the bodies, getting out of the head and dropping to our knees, moving into the body.
It's so interesting because when you say it like that, you make it sound, even in the pain, like quite beautiful and quite enticing.
Yeah.
And yet, when I read the opening chapter, my first thought was, oh my God, she's done it again. Um,
Susie, whatever made you say?
and it was a visceral experience of, this book is going to change my life again.
Oh,
And there was there was resistance there. And I think it's so interesting you talk about the derobing, the removal of the masks, the removal
yeah,
of all of those pieces of your identity.
yeah,
And I think that for so many of us who have spent a lifetime, and depending on your belief system, maybe lifetimes,
yeah,
building up this identity, which is also protection of who you are and what it is that you represent. And the idea of letting that all go, that can feel so intimidating, which is why so many of us hold on for dear
yeah.
life. Like,
Oh, oh, honey, I,
and
I, I was like the head chorus girl in the kick line of clinging, um, because mastery, the School of Womanly Arts Mastery program, it was the thing that made me undeniable. It was the thing
mm,
I could point to and say, this is what I'm worth. And building it and running it and being the one everyone needed, that was the crown. And underneath the crown, if I'm honest, there was a belief that I never said out loud, even to myself, that people only loved me because of what I could do for them,
mm,
and that my worth lived in my output, and that if I ever stopped producing, the love would go with it.
wow.
And you don't find out if that is true or not while you're still wearing the crown. You can't, because the crown does its job too well. It gets you loved as the queen, which feels like you're being loved right up until you wonder whether it's you they want, or they want to be close to your throne. And so I gave up mastery. I went down. I gave up the thing that had been my life force for years, with no guarantee that there would be anything waiting on the other side. And, and that's the part of the myth that people skip. Inanna doesn't get to keep her identity intact and gain wisdom on top of it, she actually dies. She actually dies. She When she gets to the underworld, her sister kills her, and she gets hung on a meat hook for 3 days, dude. 3 days of rotting before anyone comes to revive her. And there's no version of the descent where you keep the crown and
Wow.
find out who you are without it. One had to end for the other one to become real.
I'm still resisting. And whilst I work on that during this conversation,
Uh,
I am really curious. Obviously, there's a whole, we're going to dive into all of the chapters in between, but I'm really curious who came out the other side, who is the Regina that I'm sat opposite now. I know we talked about the difference between Mama Gena and you from a like an audience perspective, but what's on the inside? How did you change over the last 6 years?
well, what I found at the bottom wasn't a better version of mastery. It was a mother who could actually be with her daughter without performing, without managing, without needing some kind of approval, without needing to be useful in the room. Uh, it was nights that I could finally sleep through instead of waking up terrified. It was a family healed in ways that running a company at full speed had never once made room for. Uh,
Mm,
and it was a self I could finally just be instead of a self I had to keep earning over and over and over again. And that's the gain nobody warns you about going in, because it doesn't look like winning. It actually looks like loss. People were saying to me, Regina, you were at the pinnacle. Nobody's even come close to what you were doing. Still, 6 years later, no one has even touched the hem of your garment, queen. And 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 it looks like loss right up until it doesn't.
yeah.
A Reshkigal doesn't negotiate with the version of you that's still wearing the crown. She only receives what's left once the crown is gone. And it turns out that what's left is the part that was always real, the part that was always worthy, the part that never had to do something to prove her worth. But
Mm.
when I came from a family where there's a lineage of abuse, and so I just didn't know that I was worthy. Well, until now, I do.
Yeah, you do. And what I hear so clearly in the way that you communicated that is that the trappings, so this in inverted commas, the success, the business, the adoration, all of that means nothing when you're waking up with night terrors. You're constantly feeling a sense of scarcity. You're constantly feeling like you have to prove yourself, or you're going to be found out as the imposter that you
Yeah.
feel because you don't feel good enough. And for the people who are listening to this, they are the symptoms of a life that is out of, I would say, alignment. You would probably say turn on.
Yeah.
And at some point, you have to be willing, or maybe you don't have to, but at some point, the person who is going to be obsessed with the words on these pages are tired of that waking up and feeling like despair, And at the time of recording this, there's been a big celebrity death, Hayden Paternaire.
Yeah.
And when you see these people, and again, you've just described it perfectly, she had on the surface everything. And yet she revealed in her book the lack of self worth and the abundance of self loathing because of the abuse, the trauma that she was never able to release. And
Yeah.
so you have these breaking open points, and this
Yeah.
is chapter one. And then you talk about turning up the heat.
Hmm.
And I wonder if you can describe what turning up the heat means for us.
Oh God, I can't even remember what did I say that was. It's been a while since I read that thing I wrote. Happy to talk about it though. There are many ways in which I do turn up the heat, both in that book and in my life. I think probably one of the most underlying um, sort of the life force that kind of pulses through this whole book is like the drum beat and the heartbeat of the goddess or the divine feminine. Another word for that is erotic aliveness. Another word
Mm,
for that is orgasm. Another word for that is pleasure or turn on. And that's literally the the heartbeat of this entire book. And if I'm looking at the story of Hayden, and I know that she grew up uh, in a like she was always public facing from the time she was a baby. She
mm,
had really not the luxury that I took on, right? The luxury of really taking time away from. Well, I don't know. Maybe she did take time away. I don't know her storyline that well, but I know that in my case, and my heart breaks for her and for the women that don't get held in ways that every little girl and every woman deserves to be held.
mm,
And like many women in this culture, I experienced abuse in my family from the time I was a baby.
mm,
And in a way, the most dreadful thing. And it led to a circumstance, which was when I was around 5 years old. The goddess would come and sit on my bed. And yes, it could be the irrational imagination of a hurt and troubled 5-year-old, or it could have been the actual motherfucking goddess.
mhm,
And so, how I knew it was a goddess was because of this feeling, this kind of like
mm,
delicious, alive feeling that ran through my body. It felt like warm butterscotch or something. And when I'd look to find her, she would vaporize. And so I thought, well, I know she's definitely not at my synagogue, but maybe she's at churches. So I had my little girlfriends take me to their churches and things to look for her, but I couldn't find her at church. And then after a few years of searching, I just kind of put down my task and whatever. But fast forward, this child that grew into the woman that I became, which was a young woman filled with nothing but self doubt, self
mm,
hatred, extreme lack of confidence. But I moved to New York to be an actor, but I didn't even have confidence enough to audition for things. So I thought, well, I'll take an acting class. And I auditioned for the class. And the good people that ran that thing said to me, you're a really good actress, but you have no sensuality in your body, lady. And
mm.
so, which is no problem. You'll just be cast in roles that are like 20, 30 years older than you. And I was like, ah, this is terrible. I better get some sensuality. And of course, I was basically living like a hermit and studying ancient goddess culture, the work of Merlin Stone and Ryan Eisler and all those amazing Marie and Gumbuddhist. And so I was like, okay, I'll take a class in it. as a reasonable. It was better. It was easier than going on a date, you know. So I take this class. I'm so lucky. I get a hold of this class. It's called Basic Sensuality, and I go there, and I am scared, but I take it. And they talk all about, sensuality and things that I knew nothing about. And they give you a homework where you have to go home and pretend the most important person in the world is coming to visit you. I'm like, oh God, okay. And then, of course, that person turns out to be you. But in the
Mm.
meantime, you're supposed to get flowers and little snacks and bubbly water and draw a bath and tidy up your apartment and all these things. And so I did all of that and I put on music. And Susie, here's a crazy thing I found: time and space change when you're creating pleasure.
Mm.
And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. I'd never done that before. I knew how to take care of my family, I knew how to take care of my boss, my friends, but I didn't know how to create pleasure for me. This was new. So in so doing, I did all the things. And then there was a part where you had to look at yourself in the mirror. So I go to the mirror and I'm looking at myself, and the music is playing and the candles are lit, and I see the goddess in my reflection. And I'm like, holy fucking shitballs. That's insane. The goddess that I was looking for from the time I was a little girl was hiding in my reflection. That is way potent. That is
Mm.
crazy. And then, of course, because, women, you know how generous we are. We see a great movie, we want to tell all our friends or whatever.
Mhm.
So I see this, and I'm like, I have to tell all the women in the world that the divine feminine lives in them. And then I'm like, but I don't know anything. So I can't do that. So I thought, well, I will go to the school that sponsored this class and I'll
Yeah.
study there. So I called the teachers and I'm like, this was so potent for me. I'd like to take more classes with you guys. And they were like, great, love to have you. But by the way, we also, it's called Lafayette Morehouse and we study female orgasm. And please, you're welcome to, you know, attend, but it's also a sex commune. And so I was like, okay, life of celibacy, depression, suicidal ideation, or join a sex commune. Okay, I'm going to join the sex commune. So you would have done the same thing, Susie. So I was at the point of no return. And here's the crazy thing: I accidentally healed myself from trauma uh, by moving in there and taking classes with these people because um, I was now studying pleasure and studying female orgasm. I was having all of these different courses, and then I was having experiences of different homeworks and practices where I learned how to have extend and expand my orgasmic experience. So I was running this orgasmic sensation through my body. It wasn't sex, it was literally a practice. And so this shattered, abused, traumatized creature is suddenly in this place where it's a practice to receive orgasms every day, no strings attached. And it was shocking to me how quickly I changed, because you're not supposed to heal that fast. Like, it takes years of therapy before you got to
Mm.
where I was heading in like a couple of months. Like, we keep trying to heal women through mindset or productivity or therapy or meds or discipline, but the female brain calms through safety. And pleasure is one of the deepest signals of safety that the body knows. So instead of being this shy, silent part of the background person, I suddenly found my inner microphone, and I was all this creativity that had lived inside me for years finally got expressed.
Mm.
And why it worked is literally chemical, Susie. It's literally because in an experience of pleasure, the brain releases oxytocin, which is safety and bonding, and it quiets the amygdala, which is the fear center. And
Mhm.
then it releases endorphins, which are these natural opioids, pain relief. And then prolactin, which is deep relaxation and sleep. And that's where trauma processing occurs. But I think probably the biggest chemical that had the biggest impact on me was dopamine, because I was dopamine deprived during all of those depression years. Because low dopamine is apathy and numbness and procrastination, and I can't get myself to do anything.
Yeah.
And healthy pleasure experiences shift that. And dopamine is also called the hope chemical. So suddenly I was feeling really motivated and creative, and it was, and then also my the cortisol dropped because all of these hormones were activated. So my nervous system literally shifted from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Uh,
Mm.
and so it was I accidentally healed myself from trauma through orgasm. And then after 5 years at that school, I was like, okay, I know some shit that's pretty powerful. And that combined with my study of ancient goddess culture, I think I could create something super interesting for women. So
Really, really stunning. And you say that pleasure. In fact, your first, my naked pussy orgasm broke my trance.
yeah,
That is what turning up the heat
yeah.
is. And
And Susie, here's the thing. I'm not the only woman that this has happened for. Like, if
mm,
you're probably familiar, especially with all those hundreds of children that you gave birth to, that you're currently raising. She doesn't have hundreds of children. I just always tease her because I had one and she's got four, right?
three.
Three that
Yeah.
seem like four. Okay. So, you have to be reading all of that Greek mythology with some of them. And so one of them would probably was telling you about Demeter and Persephone. And in that storyline, Demeter is grieving the loss of her daughter because her daughter Persephone is getting stolen by Hades. And she's literally weeping and grieving. And so the earth is dying because Demeter is no longer the queen of light and life. She's in grief. And what breaks her trance is Balbo, who is this awesome goddess. She was this, she disguised herself as a maid. And when Demeter was staying at an inn one night, she brought her a bowl of soup, even though Demeter was refusing to eat. And how she broke Demeter's grief trance was she flashed her pussy at Demeter. And Demeter started to giggle. And she remembered, oh shit, right, okay. I can be in grief and alive at the same time. And then she realized that Hades probably had her daughter, and then all beautiful things happened following that. But so pussy flashing is a very reviving thing and a gift that you can give to a girlfriend who's having a really bad day. Just flash your pussy at her and you will bring her back to life. It's instant, doesn't take time.
There's what's true about you in person in whatever format you are delivering. There's a liberation, and I think that this is again like Pussy. This book represents that. There's a liberation for
Yeah,
so many people who I know are listening to this right now. They did what I did, which was kind of have a little giggle. And the idea of flashing your pussy at one of your friends, especially if she's grieving, it's like, oh, button up, or not quite allowed, or that might be too much. Like, and you're like, hell no, it's healing, it's soothing, it's funny, and I'm curious about whether you would describe this is the journey to liberation, this is freedom.
totally. um, Susie, I believe with every drop of my being that women are the greatest untapped natural resource on this planet. And the time to tap is now. And we don't have time to wait until, oh, okay, oh God, this is so wild. This is so crazy. Okay, yes, it's out of the box, but how well is the box working for you? If the box
Mm.
is working, stay in it. And if it's not, a pussy flash is a great way out. It will.
Why do you think that now is the time? Why is it so important?
Uh, I feel like we are in one of the most stressful times historically that women and men have ever been with. We have so much division, and uh, in this world, in this culture. I feel like almost every woman I talk to is exhausted,
Mm.
exhausted from living in chronic vigilance with work pressure, caregiving, aging parents, finances, the world feeling unstable because it is unstable, the climate crisis, the heat waves and fires in Europe this summer. And the female nervous system is living in brace mode, and
Yeah.
you can't access intuition or creativity or desire or even love when your body thinks it's surviving. And pleasure is one of the few experiences powerful enough to interrupt vigilance because it
Mm.
tells the brain life is not a threat. And all of us are living as though life is a threat because basically we're living
Yes.
in such deeply stressful times.
Mm.
And so, if we have a way to interrupt that vigilance, set a woman back into her power, her voice, the full possession of her aliveness, then she can do the work of healing this cocksucking motherfucking planet that is suffering and struggling through the lack of feminine influence and impact.
Mm. You talk about fucking up gloriously,
I do that
and
continually.
part of the tension with freedom and liberation and hypervigilance is that when we're in this space of hypervigilance, irrespective of what area of life we are on high alert for, we are looking for the thing that might mess up either the facade and the illusion, or just the thing that might fuck up the thing that we are trying to protect, whether that be our relationship, whether that be our child, whether that be our profession. It doesn't matter. So I'm really interested about this piece of like, fuck up, and don't just fuck up, do it gloriously. What do you mean by that?
Well, you see, is one of the big differences in between, uh, let's say, the patriarchal world religions like Islam, Christianity, Judaism, even Buddhism, is that there's a hierarchical structure. There's a belief in right and wrong, and that there's a way to do things, and that if you don't align with those ways, that you are to blame and you will be punished. It's basically promoting a victim culture, in my opinion. And the realm of the goddess or the divine feminine, there is no duality. There's holy in birth,
Mm.
there's holy in death, there's the sacred and the perfection in everything. Like, and we're willing to look at it in Mother Nature. Like when we see a big knot in a tree, we're like, oh, look at that cool knot in that tree. It's so pretty the way it's shaped. It grew differently. Wow, I kind of love that. But the moment the scan comes back wrong, the marriage goes quiet in a way that is possibly a death sentence, or the business you built stops making the math work, or the kid you would lie down in traffic for is in trouble you can't fix. And then your voice starts up because our inner voice is normally designed by patriarchal world culture. And you go, what did I do wrong?
Mhm.
What is this punishment for? How have I failed? And that inner voice, that's not yours. That was installed probably around the same time as you got your first bra. And and so the the shift that I describe in On Our Knees, which is the perspective of the divine feminine as differentiated from the divine masculine, is knowing or being willing to at least consider that there's holiness, sacredness in every motherfucking thing that you have ever done.
Mm.
That
Mm.
every drop of every step that you have taken has been divinely inspired and perfect.
Yeah.
And so, and why this is important is because if internally you say, "Oh, I fucked up, I was bad, I was wrong," then when your life comes apart, you don't grieve, you investigate, and you go through your own history looking for the crime, and you always find something, because a woman raised inside of this story can always find something wrong with herself, and so you never have the chance to really hit your knees or really
Mm.
just fall the fuck apart. And there's another story about the darkness that's a lot older than hell or you're wrong or you're bad. The goddess doesn't run a prison, she runs an initiation.
Mm.
And so when we fuck up gloriously and we find out, oh shit, I went down that road so hard and no cheese down that tunnel. Okay, all right, I'm going to grieve. I'm going to hit my knees. I'm going to grieve. And I'm going to see what opens next inside of
Yeah.
me, because something always will.
Mhm. Truth. When
So,
was the last
hmm?
when was the last time that you fucked up gloriously?
Oh God. Well, there's so many. Let's see. Uh, I mean, um, I think I make mistakes all the time. Where I like yesterday, my daughter is here to help me with my launch, which is so amazing because Maggie lives in London,
Mm.
and so she just got we just like had this little fight in the middle of Seventh Avenue because I was like, no, you can't do that. Why are and then I was like, wait a minute, Maggie came all this way to be with you. Why are you losing your shit on Seventh Avenue? You know, so at least I feel like I catch myself quicker
Yeah.
than I used to. And then I can just look at her and say, damn, mommy lost it for a minute. Ooh la la. Okay. I'm gonna have to I'm ready to grovel, and then soon we'll get to the other side of it.
Yeah.
But that's a small thing. Like, I've burnt down my company, revived it, burnt it down again, reinvented it, hired the wrong people, fired the wrong people, all the things we do in this life as we're
Mhm.
trying to find our way. When
Are they
was,
fuck or are
yeah,
they just emotions?
where are you on your knees right now?
um, um, what motherhood?
Yeah.
Motherhood is just testing me,
Well,
and
are they all teenagers now?
No, my youngest is 10 and she is very much still 10. She's still super innocent and just thinks I'm the best thing in the whole entire world, which my heart really appreciates. And
Yeah.
actually, what is beautiful about my middle one, the 13-year-old, is that I feel like I am seeing her more now
Yeah.
than I've ever been able to, which means that we're able to connect so
Yeah.
much more deeply. So she's still testy, but she's 13, she's supposed to be. But my eldest, he's where I feel like I am most stretched
Mm-hmm.
and most vulnerable, and I really oscillate between that experience of being like, what have I done wrong? What do
Right.
I need to do better? How can I
Mm-hmm.
be a? And what you just said about, the fucking up gloriously, the way that I say this from an infinite receiving perspective is that there's a gift in every situation. And all of the time that I am in resistance and looking to fix either him or myself, I am frequently missing that gift of wisdom, of insight, of whatever it's supposed to be, whatever I'm supposed to learn from that situation when I'm in the space of critiquing myself. It's really painful. I'm sure it's
Mm-hmm.
so much more painful than just being like, God, this is shit right now, and I'm going to allow that shit to just wash all over me
Mm-hmm.
and then let it pass. There's and there are I would say that I'm getting better at recognizing when I'm in the resistance, which means that I can surrender more, but it's hard,
Yeah. Got it.
really hard.
Do you want to do like a little 30-second practice with me that will help move that?
I would love to.
Okay, great. And this will be anybody who's listening, you can practice with us too, which is you kind of pick your on your knees moment. And for Susie, it's about her son and the challenges he's bringing into her life, like all good teenage boys do.
Yeah.
And my on my knees moment right now, I would say it's the frustration and the grief around my aging mom, who I look after, and how helpless I feel around that. And so you'll think of your on your knees moment, because we all have them. And there's two parts to this exercise. They'll each take about 30 seconds. And part one of this exercise, I like to call it the temper tantrum. We're just, usually it's better witnessed with a girlfriend, and me and Susie have each other. And actually, you all who are listening, we have each other. And so for 30 seconds, I'll just put on a song that will in some way allow me to get out whatever the emotion is. So I'm just going to, I have a little song queued up here. And then you and I, Susie, we're going to have like a temper tantrum together, like a full on, ah! Full body temper tantrum just for, 20, 30 seconds. You in?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
in.
Okay. Okay. No, I think I need something more dramatic. I'm going to switch. This is it. Yeah! Okay. All right. Any liberation in that, my love?
Yeah, more please.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to add one more layer onto this. And you're going to be really good at this because you know how to hold sensuality in your body. But in this particular version of that, I want you to combine the rage, the outrage, the grief soaked rage with turn on. So you're kind of making a cocktail, erotic, life force, and rage together. And I have a different music that'll blend those. You know this one. So we still have the rage. Now we're going to turn on that rage. A little heat running through those bodies. So good. Yes, Susie, bring it. Gorgeous. Show it to me. Yeah. Gorgeous. Yes. Hips and breasts. Yes. Okay. Gorgeous. Okay. That was just a little 30-second sprint. How was that?
Opening, expansive,
Yeah.
and yeah, I have no idea how that gets to be received by audio only people. However, it's such a beautiful reminder of how much tension we normalize holding in
Yeah.
our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, just even 30 seconds
Mm-hmm.
and 30 seconds of rage, and then 30 seconds of duality or polarity that we hold simultaneously. Because there's a story that if I'm angry, I can't be turned on. If I'm grieving, I can't feel joy. And actually, we can do both of those things, hold both of those things in our body at any given time. And that there's a real permission slip or an opportunity there for liberation is the word that keeps coming up for me today. So, Regina, I want to thank you so much for being
Mm.
here. The book is out on Tuesday. Where can everybody get it? Where can people support you? What's the dealio?
There's a couple of amazing things. First of all, you can get it at any Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or my favorite, the local bookstore around your corner. That's the place to support. And once you've ordered it, if you find me on Instagram, Mama Gena, MamaGena, or my website, which is Mama Gena's, MamaGenas.com, you can get a free ticket to the initiation, which is the name of my book launch, which is happening. It's going to be happening at 7:30 Eastern New York City time, which will probably be 5 hours ahead for UK time. Like it'll happen in the middle of the afternoon UK time. And it's going to be incredible. Also, there'll be a recording. So if you can't make it to the live, if you sign up for the initiation, you'll get the recording. It's going to be fucking incredible. I'm doing an event at the House of Yes in Brooklyn, and it will be a blast. And I'd love to have everyone there.
Perfection. This has been so beautiful. On Our Knees is the book. Regina is the author. And yeah, it's a pleasure. I love you so much.
I love you, Susie. Thank you. So fun to see you, and more later.
More later. If you have loved this episode as much as I have, please reach out to Mama Gena, Regina, and myself on Instagram. Let us know what touched you, and make sure that you get a copy of the book and send your receipt to Regina so she can give you your free ticket for the initiation. You are amazing. I love you so much. And please remember that faith plus action equals miracles.
Yay. Go Susie, go Susie. Thank you, baby.